now we start the talk. Let me start with the question from asking Ronald. Ronald, why are you... What pushed you to be in branding, right? Tell us your story.
Hi everyone. So it's money. It's to be honest, but yeah, when I started doing design, it was just for fun. It was in the era of Facebook when posting pictures with quotes was a thing. So I got introduced to Illustrator, Photoshop, things like that. And I wanted to flex on the rest of the people posting pictures with quotes, not from Google, but the ones I created. It was just for fun. But one day I saw a job post, and I just applied and then finessed my ways till I got it. And out of nowhere, I was called a graphic designer. But then that's when I started to really now learn what graphic design is or what design is. It's not just about the colors or making things look cute and everything, but more of user-centric design, right? Designing with the purpose to communicate, to touch people's emotion, to make people really connect with the product or the service. So starting doing something for fun, then it ended up being a career. It's been like around 12 years now. So yeah.
Interesting. 12 years on the market, and you've seen so many brands. I can't name all. I bet you can't name them all. But actually, whenever you see a product and you get interested by the branding, just know Ronald is probably behind the brand. Huh? Good to hear from you, Ronald. Sharon, I know you have a background in product design, right? Right. And now you're a digital marketing lead. Tell us about your story. How did you find yourself there? And how do you like that?
Thanks, Sam. So for me, like you said, I used to do product design, like design apps, websites, and stuff. And it's the whole concept of design thinking really that got me into digital marketing, because digital marketing, in a sense, forces empathy to be measurable. And we all know empathy is the starting point of design thinking. So I felt like I was trying to design things, but then it's more of talking the walk, but you're really not walking the talk in that sense. And I felt like I can sell whatever I've created better, because I also work with developers. I know some of the selling points in there. So that is mainly what got me into it. And then the whole aspect of putting design thinking into digital marketing, making sure that you understand the user deeply for you to know that this is going to land, whatever communication you're putting out there is going to land to them. And we're going to, like you said, bring in the return on investment. I think for me, that was my main point, because I was like, okay, if I know how to build or illustrate that sofa, might as well just sell it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sharon. That's interesting to hear. Sylvie, I'm going to ask you something similar. You're a product manager, right? You're often the person who bridges the gap between marketing and the actual market, right? How did you find yourself in product management? Were you realizing that some things are not going well with the actual products, and then you've said, I have to be like a product manager? How did you find yourself there?
My story was, I fell on it randomly out of a Google search. And I didn't even know this career was a thing, by the way. But one thing I knew is that I loved solving problems. And I have a background in computer science, did a bit of knowing how to do code and all that. but I wasn't dedicated enough to it to become a developer. But I did want to use technology to solve problems. So lo and behold, there was a way for me to still solve the problems, stay around the developers, and be able to basically use my communication, problem-solving skills, and
it's like, from the work you do, it's all fun, it's all sweet. Do you ever meet challenges, or did you get to points where you're like, what did I get myself into? Anyone on the panel? Maybe if you want to say something, anyone on the panel. Did you ever get to a point where you felt like, I made the wrong choice of a career?
I mean, I don't think I've ever thought I made the wrong choice in career, because like I don't like giving up that easy. But of course you face challenges every day where like you see not everyone perceives. I'm gonna give an example, Nanjani Beka, right? There's a lot of good things, a lot of people, lives impacted and all of that. But then we all know the bank is big. There is someone who is complaining, my app is not working, you know? And then whatever ad you've put out there, you see the comments aren't even related to whatever you're marketing, you know? So there are instances like that. But then at the end of the day, you just need to understand, because we're doing this for users, it's not for me or anything. I think I would give up if I got a demotion or if they took my money and be like, I don't think we need this anymore. But I feel like each and every person here, whatever we do, is actually needed on the market, and we impact people's lives. So I think we just have to keep going. So I don't think it has been that deep for me to the point where I feel like, no, I'm going to give up. No. Actually, I just keep pushing. Yeah.
Great. That's inspiring. Yeah, you want to say something?
I mean, it's kind of like adding on to what you just said. For you to be working on solutions, there has to be problems. So every day, my salary is because there was a problem. Anything that I take home is because there was a problem and I managed to solve it. And you can understand that being surrounded with that means that people will come to you, the amount of time they come to you happy is less compared to how often they come to you. I mean, it's the amount of time they come to you happy is less compared to how many times they come to you saying something is going wrong. And 100% of the time, that thing that is going wrong is urgent, always. So you sort of need to have a reason beyond your everyday. You must really, really love what you're doing and why you're doing it. Otherwise, you would crumble under the weight of that demand if your why is not big enough. And it has to be a why that is beyond the salary, the workplace, and the reason that fuels you every day that is bigger than everything that you face on a daily.
Thank you very much, Sylvie. Ronald, please tell us, huh?
For a designer now, it's for me, it's an everyday thing, where now design is hard. For example, you are trying to convince like a really different batch of people that something you design is really good. So, and it communicates, and sometimes you get feedback like, make it pop, make it big. And you are like, I guess I chose the wrong thing to do, right? As she said, sometimes you really put your everything in something. Let's say it's a commercial, it's an ad, it's anything that goes online, and then it's Irembo, you know, someone comes out of nowhere and be like, Chibanza chanje. So, and or maybe someone comes and be like, why don't you use Kinyarwanda? And you really spend like 2 weeks tirelessly working on something, and someone is like, why don't you use Kinyarwanda? And maybe there are subtitles in Kinyarwanda, and maybe you're just communicating something that would, the target audience is, you have a particular target audience, and you have a particular target that you need to talk to and everything, but someone out randomly be like, I don't like this. Why? Maybe because you use the color of their first car that crashed or something, but they end up not liking what you did out of preference. And you are not designing for one person or two. You are designing for mass. So to me, to be honest, like every time you feel like you want to give up, but like for all those brands you said that was now successful, you feel the need to keep going because, you know, sometimes you pass by Loic Kun and you be like, ah, that's me. So, yeah.
Interesting. I'm just surprised. Are there any brands that failed that you worked on?
Maybe with the client, but not in my hands.
Good to know, because I trust you very much. There's no way that can happen. Let's move. I have a question for Sharon, right? I know you're heavily invested in marketing, and I bet, I'm not sure, I bet that most of the products that you ever used, you came across them through maybe an ad, right? Being honest, have you ever found a product in an ad and then tried using it and found out it's better than the ad? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I think it is in one piece, but yes, for sure. And I think those are the best products because it speaks for itself. When you have something that doesn't need to be marketed that much for someone to use it, it actually builds that trust, and you have someone who's going to advocate for it without even having to put in a lot of money. So those are one of the best products. Of course, if you told me to name some, I would say BK up. But yeah, I have come across a lot of them. Some of them will also use them, like some of the social media platforms we use. They have a lot of features. Let's say within Snapchat or TikTok, you discover these features and you know how to use them without necessarily looking at that ad of how to use it. So yeah, I've definitely.
Interesting. Yeah. Is it because she's in marketing, she's defending herself, or has anyone been in such a situation where you've used the product and then it was greater than the ad? Anyone? Anyone, please, by a show of hands, please. Okay, good to know, Sharon. Yeah, you have people that think the same way as you. It's not that you are saying something because you're just in marketing. All right, that's good to know. Sylvie, I know among everyone here on the panel, you might be the detective, right? Because you're a product detective. You dig into features that aren't advertised, right? Because you just want, especially those of competitors, you just want to know what they have and how they work without necessarily caring about how they were marketed. Do you think marketing features is necessary? Or you think someone who needs a product, who truly needs a product, they will find out without having the product marketed?
It's absolutely necessary. I think I'm going to disappoint you a bit, yeah, because I believe that all of this is actually complementary. Because we may invest a lot of work in putting something out there, you know, developing a feature, developing a solution. But if people are not made aware of it, all that effort can go to waste very easily. And how marketing is going to go, actually, let's put it in stages, how the branding of all that is going to be done, and then how it's going to be communicated is pretty much what fuels all that work. Picture this. I'll bring the firewood, he'll put the fuel, and she will light the match. And that's the only way we can all get warm, right? So, and another interesting fact that we see with making products is that people want their problems to be solved, but very few will see the solution to their problem. Very few will recognize the solution to their problem. And that's how the way they communicate it, the way it's branded, helps us tell you, you had this problem, and this is actually going to solve it for you. So I find it to be very important that things get marketed Now, the caveat is how does it get marketed so that you don't end up thinking I developed a hanging rope when you're expecting a swing. So that's where we need to adjust the way we collaborate, but without marketing, the work can easily go to waste.
That's good to know. Thank you very much. Ronald, I have a question for you. I know maybe all the brands that you work on are not your own products, right? So if you ever tasked to work on a brand to make it beautiful and then you found out that product is not really good, what would you do? Would you make a mediocre brand just to match the energy of the product? Or will you create a great brand with the hopes that maybe the product will catch up sometime in the future? What would you do?
I think that one, if you design something mediocre just for the sake to match the product, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort, and you're also putting someone's business or company at risk. But then, assuming that with talents like this, I really believe it won't be mediocre. But the good thing is, even though I'm a brand designer, the people I work with or where I work, I don't just come to put colors on it and everything. It's more of, because the brand is the foundation, right? From the DNA to when you start designing, it's more of like the base of everything. So a really good designer shouldn't just come and take the brief and then design. It's more of, okay, this is what you're trying to offer. How can we push maybe the launch? How can we improve on this so that we don't overpromise, which leads to a total failure in the future? How can we design something that will match the product, but also when it goes out? Because at the end of the day, what they're trying to create is, they're trying to make money, that's one. And I'm pretty sure they're not, if it's mediocre, it's because maybe it is too small at the beginning and it has a really long roadmap. And as a good brand person, you should be able to match that to the roadmap from pre-launch to post-launch and everything. So my answer is, don't reduce the quality, don't overpromise it, because that's how you kill it, because that's when people start realizing what you just asked before, when you see an ad and then it, like for example, me, every time on Instagram, I see an ad of a game, for example. That's when they do it. You see the game, when you download it and start playing it, it's trash. So how can we make sure that the ads, the design, the brand matches what you're trying to create? So creating a brand is not that you create it and it's perfect and you launch it and then you go. It's a phase, it's a long roadmap. The same way Snapchat improved from how it started to now, you can do a lot of things on it. Started even paying for the memory. So if you had the design team on your side, with you in the room at the beginning, you are on the same road and you create things that like flow with each other.
Interesting. Sharon, do you think that's right? If you were to do marketing for something like that, what would you do in that case? Huh? Would you first market what's not yet there, just to bring people close to you? What would you do?
I mean, I totally agree with everything you just said, but then I also feel like marketing has stages. We have pre-launch, during launch, and then post-launch. But even when you start putting out teasers of what is coming, you need to be aligned from the beginning on when is this product going to be ready from the PM, right? And then also, are the designs ready, right? It could be designs for the product itself or even the ads you're going to put out there? And then, are they appealing? Are we all speaking the same language? So I think the disconnect comes in when internally there is no alignment, when everyone is literally riding their own ride in different places. So that is where but if we all on the same page, all know this when it's going to be launched, this is what we're gonna say, these are the expectations, then it gets easier that way. So it's very common to sell something before it goes on market, because you already know the launch date is approaching, and it's something we call FOMO, fear of missing out. So you want to hype people so that they look forward to whatever is coming. It's more of a strategy. Yeah.
I think Ronald and Sharon don't believe in the law of gravity. They just think everything is going to go up always, huh? Because they're saying it's going to stay in the motion of going up, huh? Sylvie, I know you sit in a place of reality, the product. Imagine if you were to be in a conversation, maybe sitting in the same room with Sharon and Ronald, and they tell you something, and they believe they're going up. You know, rockets go up. I know rockets have limits too. Maybe fuel. I don't know. Maybe it has to come. There has to come a time where a rocket will have to come down, and then maybe a new one goes. What would you do if Ronald has brought in something, Sharon is ready for marketing, and then you know something they want to market will take 6 months to build? What would you do?
By the time that situation is happening, a lot of things went wrong before. That's just a consequence. Because my responsibility as the product manager is to make sure that everyone in that room, leave alone marketing, branding, and all, the first thing that we all must understand is the problem that we're trying to solve, right? So we need to know what we are going to address. On our side, we will address it by creating a product. On their side, they will address it by how it's going to be branded and then how it's going to be communicated out there through the marketing, right? By the time what has been what the state of the branding and the state of what's going to be put out there in marketing does not in any way look like what we've done, one or two things happened, if I can just maybe try to summarize it. We either left that room without a common understanding of what we're trying to solve here. That already is the first crushing point. If at all we left the room with a common understanding, then somewhere along the way, we lost touch with each other. Either I did not communicate to them the issues that were happening in the development. Somewhere along the way, we had this, again, the rockets fall. We had this cute understanding that we would develop it, the solution would go like this, and then we meet pitfalls. While we're trying to solve them, tech-wise, they're probably still going with the same marketing and branding approach that they had. If I am not informing them of what's happening as we go, then that's where I will return in that room maybe 3 months later, and we only have the hanging rope on the tree while they've done the other stuff. So the core of the problem becomes either we've not understood what we are trying to solve together, or somewhere along the way, we lost touch with each other. So the aspect of collaboration is actually the only thing that can prevent such situations. Otherwise, you will be scattered.
So you guys collaborate, right? Huh?
It should have. Yeah, yes, you said, you said we have, we are, called as what? The standard. So at company like ours, we do. We do.
It's the rumors we hear elsewhere.
Yes.
I see. Interesting. Actually, it's good to hear from experts who have created products that went live and they weren't hyped. They weren't overhyped because everything they sell, they have it. It's good to hear from them, right? Okay, now I want all your honesty. All your honesty. Sylvie, Sharon, and Ronald, I want all your honesty. When you sell a great product that is well branded, do you see it as a motivation or self-sabotage? Does it motivate you if you have something and then you see it outside there? It's greatly perceived, right? Very greatly perceived. Feels like magic to users. Does it feel like it's a motivation for you to do better, or it feels like self-sabotage? Maybe it's something you might find hard to keep up with. I'm not sure if that's clear. I just want to hear from you. What do you think in such a situation? Is it clear?
I mean, what I would say is that unless we're selling lies, that would be a motivation. But if you're selling lies and if you say that this thing is going to, I don't know, transform your life, and you know that it's not where it's supposed to be, I feel like the people who would have them, we actually all would. The backlash would eventually come back. Either you'll end up with a very overwhelmed development team because now they're telling them, hey, build this and this and this and this. And everything that is built under pressure, we call it technical debt. The amount of debt that you're going to have, you actually don't pay it back. It's a lie. You never pay it back. Majority of the things that are said that are going to be implemented post-live, like 30%, if most, is going to be implemented, right? So the only way it will be self-sabotage is if you lied to the people. And it's a collective lie. By the time it's going out there, we've all decided to lie to the people. But if you've not lied to the people and you've delivered something that you can sustain, then that is motivation. For us on the product team, we love those situations. Whether it goes well or it goes wrong, it's always great feedback on our side, because then I know if it was perceived well, then we are solving the right problem. If it was not perceived well, it's not good for them, but for us, it's great feedback. That means what we tried didn't work. We see it as playground. It is lost money on this side, which is a problem. Allow me to kind of like elaborate a bit on that. Something that we often forget as product managers, I often forget, let me not speak on behalf of the others, is to find the soft spot where I am solving a problem for the users, but I'm also earning money to the company or generating revenue. And if I don't think about both in the way of approaching the solution, that's actually where most of the conflict is going to come from. We might see that how we're going to solve the issue for the user is going to be, it would require a lot of investment, and then you find out that the company is not willing to put all that money. Now you have to go back and drill down what is another approach for doing it. Or you do the other way around, you put something out there that maybe the company is like, okay, this is going to be good for our perception, we will be shouting out there in a much better way. But then you know that you had identified the core issue of the user and we've not really grasped it yet. So it's important that when we are looking at these problems, we don't just focus on the people that we are solving for, but also remember that behind all of that, there's a company that needs to make revenue. I just wanted to add that.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the big companies, like the bank, RSSB, Irembo, and also other companies that are not, financial. So for a company like BK, putting a lie out there is not an option, because then what are you trying? We're actually heavily regulated. That could cost you a lot of fines. And second, if you understand the vision, like you're trying to impact someone's life, and then you put out something that is actually not doing that, then you have the most to lose, really. And also the trust is not going to be there. So I think for the bank and these big companies, that is not an option. But when you market something that is not ready to be launched, for example, And there's been this misalignment internally because of the pressure delivering, you know, like your bosses want to see something out there. And we know it's not ready, but then you're like, let's just put it out there and then just pray that it's ready to be launched. I know sometimes that pressure can be there. Now, when you market something that you know is about to come on the market, and you know for sure it's going to, that could be seen as motivation internally to actually try to meet whatever expectations you've set out for yourself. It's really not a lie in any way. Now, the sabotage comes in generally when you market something that is in no way coming anytime soon. Or you try to twist it like 1 + 1 = 2, but then you're trying to market 1 + 1 = 10. Right? You've already oversold something. So that is where the sabotage comes in. Now, this is for just banks. But I also understand that these things actually happen. I don't know if you guys have dealt with these companies' alliance where they promise you, put in some money. So I think that would be a really good example of a lie because you know your business model is to scam people, and then the marketing is so intense that it's actually your parents bringing you into something and you're like, right? So I think such people actually, I think most of them are in prison already. So I can't relate them to the bank, but when you're dealing with companies that actually have people's identities, hold people's money, all of that, lying is just no option. So the whole marketing something before it comes to the market, internally it's more of a motivation because it's more of a strategy to, you know, hype people up. Yeah, but lying is just no option. It's in capital letters, guys. It's really not, yeah.
It was true. It was true. We said that in the beginning, Ronald. Perhaps if you're a consultant in one of the companies like the ones they just mentioned, that sell things they don't have. At least for a developer, they might have excuses like it works on my machine, whatever. What would you advise them to say?
One thing is hyping something. As Sharon said, is you killing the future of the company and everything. Especially in fintech, govtech, anything in those big companies. So technically, hype should be like a priority list inside the company. Where now, because of the hype outside there, now the people inside, we need to work hard to really match the hype that we have outside there. But one thing I would tell them is, maybe an example is that marketing is more of an invitation, and product is the experience. Now brand is the memory. So remember every time that you remember every time you go somewhere and the invitation is really good, be it a restaurant, be it the way they invited you, and then when you go there, the experience is bad. Now the memory is bad. And then that's when the word of mouth is start kicking in, where if the food was bad, for example, if it's a restaurant, now that person is not coming back, and then they will start spreading the word. And we know restaurants here in Kigali, you see it on Twitter. Mostly on Twitter, they can end your business, right? So the hype should be there inside the company to really be like a priority list, more than just something to push the developers and everyone in the team to just work and start pushing out things that are not ready. Because if you really rush things, that's how you fight. Like if it's not working, as you said, don't touch it. And then after maybe like if people start using it as a big number, it crashes because you rushed it or anything. So it's one thing that we keep in comms, marketing, branding, we keep pushing the rest of the company to really like, please, we can't say this because it's not ready. So kindly, let's extend the launch. Let's extend the deadlines. But then, if maybe the word comes from the board or the government itself, the best way to do it is now, because we are telling a story, to find how the story can promise the future that is coming, and maybe now the team is working to deliver on the future.
It's working now. You talked about something like hype. And to me, it got me wondering, is hype really necessary? Is it good to hype? Is hype something you have to do when you don't have any other choice? Maybe you're going to rely on hype? Got me wondering. Sharon, I want to hear from you. Do you think that's necessary to hype something?
Yes, I do think it's very necessary to hype something. Because, I mean, whatever it is you're selling, because a good example I'd give you, visit Rwanda. Why are we hyping people to actually visit Rwanda? Because even us within Rwanda, we want to visit places in Rwanda. So the hype is necessary. If you have something that you're selling, you can't just hype people with empty, like when you don't have anything to hype about. So it's very necessary.
Keyword, if you have something to hype about, huh? Okay, good to hear.
That addresses a problem.
That addresses a problem, huh?
Yeah, you're trying to solve, yeah.
Can you create a solution to the problem? Can you create a problem in a solution that's already there? Or if you...
I'm saying you actually can create a problem.
You can? Oh, interesting. Tell us about that, huh?
Have I done it before? Not yet.
Not yet. You're
Not
planning
yet.
to?
It's interesting. Again, we live off of experimental strategies. I'm not even going to talk about it like now in terms of, what's the name? These companies that we are representing or like we work for. There's this ad, yes, I can actually picture that for you well. There's this ad that has been going on Instagram. I don't know if any of you came across it. It's this couple, they have a laundromat, so they clean clothes, right? And it's Volkswagen, I think, that made the ad, yes. So their laundromat is in front of a parking spot. And I think they used to position their car in such a tight spot, that whoever is trying to reach their car would have to squeeze themselves in the gap. And then they would stain their shirts, they would stain whatever, and they were known for like a very quick service, right? So now my white blazer is stained. Oh, lo and behold, a laundromat in front of me. And then, they would make the money. The bell would ring, they come, get your stuff cleaned, da-da-da-da. Now, the smart thing is that Volkswagen, I think it's Volkswagen, uses that scenario to also market their automatic, it's basically the car like gets itself out of the parking spot. And just, you don't have to deal with that. So you can create a problem. If you're in that position, of course, big companies cannot go and deal with that. But actually, yeah, you can. Even big companies can do that because let's take an example. I'm an ex-Irembian, so I can give an example of that. The fact that we decided to do zero paper, zero trips created a problem. It is in the solution, there was a problem that was created where you're no longer going to go to the district office and whatever and get your service there. We've told you no. But then in creating that problem, we have the solution readily available for you. So it's in a matter of seeing how to play with the elements of the market you're on to channel people's attention towards what you're trying to bring to them as a solution.
Interesting. Another question. Would you have a product that is well known, very, very well known, but doesn't perform that great? Or a product that is not known but does wonders? Anyone, if you want to take it up. Would you
well known, but it performs poorly, or it performs fantastic, but it's not well known.
There's nobody who knows about it.
So the
Which one would you choose?
I think I would choose, is it a product or company? A product. So I'll choose a product that is not well known, that it performs very well and it's not well known, because then, I mean, selling is just a matter of putting a need out there and then for people to actually understand there is a need and this is what can help me. So rather than having a company or rather a product that is well known out here but doesn't work, then, I mean, there is no longevity of that product to stay on the market for a very long time because it doesn't perform really. So yeah.
I do, and I think I want to ask you before we get too far into other topics. There's something that both you and Ronald were mentioning, and I wanted to understand how do we deal with it, the three of us. So you mentioned where the question that he had asked of something got hyped and marketed, but then product-wise it's not yet there. And you were saying something along the lines of maybe or hopefully the hype and the marketing will motivate us internally to level it up. Now, on our side, that sometimes can come to us as a sort of pressure to get something out. Get it out. And it easily makes us skip important steps. So how can we collaborate to sort of find, is there a balance there where, okay, we are aware that you're going to hype it, the product is not yet there, but those two things are happening at the same time. How could we collaborate to make that work?
So from experience, we normally have a go-to-market plan that actually shows what we're expecting to sell, how we're going to sell it, and the best time to sell it. And then we also have a checklist of things that have to first be checked on that list for us to be comfortable to actually put the hype out there. Now, when we don't have any of that, or if any of those things is missing, then we come back to you as a PM and then say, listen, we want to sell this way because then we know people will literally come on board. But then we don't think we're ready to sell it because it's not ready. So we have such conversations ahead of time while we're in this agile, we don't want to be waterfall. Let this first be done for us to, So we have these discussions way ahead of time. And then it's also our job as marketeers to actually check on the readiness and not just wait for you to set up that meeting and say, okay, listen, we're ready, come check it out. So it's more of a collaboration that is very progressive and happens constantly. Yeah.
I mean, she just illustrated the best case scenario, because now sometimes the product and engineering team might go and work on a product, and then when they are like 2 weeks ready to, in 2 weeks they will be launching, and then they come and be like, where's the go-to-market? Where's the designs? Where's this? Technically, they come to you asking for a presentation to go and start pitching it. Asking for, we need a marketing plan, a communication plan for those things, yet when you started, you're never involved. So what she said is the right thing to start in the beginning, but the conversation should start the day the idea comes. That's now when we all be in the room, not only us, the business team, the engineering team, and the conversation starts there, where now everyone is on the same page. That's when now she can tick off everything on the go-to-market because it started at the same time. But now if it comes late, that's now the issue that you are scared of, where we put the pressure on you, starts to come.
Thank you very much, team. I'm just saying, I'm now calling you a team, yet that wasn't happening at the beginning. Now let's get serious, right? We were serious in the beginning, now let's get more serious. You know, at your companies, you're creating products that move life savings, products that where people can pay their taxes, right? Products where people can check their contributions for their pension, right? I mean, these are products that aren't really like Snapchat, the examples that we're giving. It's not for fun. It's for doing something serious. How do you manage, anyone, maybe to hear from all of you, how do you manage to create something that feels fun? You know, sometimes you can pay for maybe, how do they call them? Tickets, maybe if you're violated. Yeah, a traffic fine, right? And then you forget that you're paying money, you're spending money. Actually not spending, you're losing money. Or maybe forbidding the country, right? But how do you make it a product that feels fun to use, yet it's doing something really, really serious, right? I just want to hear from maybe
so, fun can be described in different scenarios depending on the problem you're solving in that moment. So I actually see myself as privileged because of the product I'm working on at RSSB is the one for Mutuelle de Santé. So CBHI, all the stuff, right? So let's say there is, so let's picture that scenario one. And then there is Irembo, say for example, because I can get some context from what they were doing. So you're applying for all sorts of things. We must define what fun is in that scenario. Fun for someone who is going to pay for a traffic fine is, please get this out of my way as fast as possible. I don't want to be dealing with the fact that I've been fined and then have to struggle with the app. That's why amazing designers like Paradis in the room and Ronald do that, and they make it just as smooth as possible. So you must understand what can make the person doing this action feel like it has gone by faster than they expected. And that's if the aspect of speed is what they need. So where am I going with that? You must find out what the person who is interacting with your product needs the most at the core. Let's shift it to the Mutuelle de Santé part. Fun for the people that are interacting with the product that I'm working on is two things. Get these patients to the doctor as fast as possible. That's now the person on the side of the health facility stuff. And as the patient, please get me to the doctor as fast as possible. So how can I make you give me less information? How can I make you know who is going to follow up on your case? How do I make that easy? So you must understand now what is the core thing that the people who are interacting with your product require, and give that to them in the simplest of form. Can I give an example? Just a random example. Sure. So there's this thing I fell on. If you have your phone, please search Dick. I'm sorry, I am sorry. I'm going to explain that. DIC, so DIC for dictionary. Focus. dic.lingala.be. dic.lingala.be. Now, what's going to come to you is an interface that allows you to search for words in Lingala. I'm saying Lingala, I love the language, loved it for a while, grew up on Koffi Olomide and the rest. So recently started to listen to their songs. I'm like, I want to understand what's going on here. I looked all around for all sorts of applications and websites that can give me the information. This interface is mediocre. It is meh. Absolutely. But it has the deepest and the most resourceful access to all sorts of words in Lingala that I have ever come across. Search Motema, for example. They will give you the explanation of the word. They will give you examples on where it's used, and they are, coming from natives. So where I'm going with this is that fun for me here at the core is not something that has like big flags or whatever or anything. Not to say that their part is not important, but I'm trying to explain the aspect of fun. But this application solves my problem. Every time I'm listening to a song and it says Kumisa or something like that I don't understand, I'll literally just pop in there, put in the word, and I get to it. So it's just to solidify that thing where I'm saying that at the core of it all, you must understand the goal of your user and make sure that they get to that as fast as possible. That's where I feel like I'm having fun with your product. I will easily forget about the fancy, I'll easily forget about the brand if I am not, having my problem solved as quickly as possible. And if you're trying to learn Lingala, please use that thing.
Nasepeli como nayopenza. I just learned some Lingala right away. Yeah? Huh? Interesting. Thank you very much for that. It's a word, nasepeli como nayo. That's Lingala, and I just learned.
I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you. It's only going to go up, my Lingala skills. Sharon, do you have something to say on the question?
So I think how to make something fun, for me, it depends on what you're trying to push for, in a sense of what habit do you want your user to adapt. For example, we know when you get your first paycheck, the first thing you think about is not to pay off your debt. Or you don't think of, say, saving, right? Now, if I'm challenged or given like a challenge to basically say, how do we make sure our customers get that saving habit and basically adapt it? Now, for me, it's a challenge, and what comes to my mind is to gamify the whole experience. You see how when you start playing a game, it's very hard for you to stop because it's gamified, or like these apps for diet. They ask you a lot of questions that if in a mobile app, a banking app, they ask you those questions, you would just give up and be like, I'll finish tomorrow. But then with this meal plan and everything, there is a way they gamify it and you answer like 20, 30 questions and you make sure that you've answered. You only give up when they ask for your card details because you're like, I'm not ready to pay that money. So what that tells us is, it's not like people don't want to save. It's not like people don't want to pay off that traffic fine. Immediately they get that money. But it's just that we don't make it exciting or we don't prompt them to. So what we're doing, another example would be like for the BK app. I don't know if you guys use the BK app. So we're in Christmas and we have this. So that thing, some people are not into the festive season like that. But when you see something like that, you're like, that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that in any other banking app here, so it's like it's pretty interesting. So it's in a sense that we're trying to find ways to gamify some of these behaviors and then influence people in a sense to do the things we want them to do or they should do. So paying my traffic fine, I know the money is coming off my account, but what if once I paid, the app then tells me, oh, you're pro. And then I know I've paid these traffic fines like 3 consecutive times. I'm not trying to say, okay, you overspeed all the time, Django, you break the rules. No. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm motivating you to actually pay for it because you're recognized for paying your bills ahead of time. That's gonna encourage you to always pay for them. Or another example would be water bill or electricity. So in a sense, how we do, it's more of a loyalty. We give discounts, but then you also want to gamify it. I'm giving you a discount, but are you recognized as someone who is loyal, like who always, does this service? So in a sense, making a product fun has a lot to do with the experience and the habits we want to put out there. We want to encourage, this is something that all banks have been encouraged to do. Like, how do you encourage people to save? People don't save. The money comes in, it goes out, because we're all about enjoyment, right? But then, we're asked to say, you realize when you save in a bank, you earn from your savings. So some people know that, but they still choose not to save. The only way to do it is to gamify it and make it fun. And it's something I know for a fact in the bank we already started to do. It's the small things really that literally create the biggest impact. So I think that answers the question.
I think Sylvie and Sharon said most of the things, but I wouldn't call it fun, because there is no fun in paying a traffic fine. And but as she said, it's more on the experience. For example, on Irembo Hub, normally when you're about to pay a traffic fine, you go either on traffic fines, and then they ask you for your plate number, they ask you for your TIN, like all those, and it keeps frustrating you, because now they're even taking long to, sometimes you even forgot your TIN, or you don't know, you haven't memorized it. But now, when creating an app like Irembo app, you thought of, like, that's when you take time to think of how is the user going to really interact with this. Let me not ask them every time they are going to pay all those details. Now they just do it on the onboarding and it's done. Now when the traffic fine comes in, you just pay, that's it. So is it the fun part? No, but how the experience is. So that's now how that's how good the product team is, that's how good the engineering is, the design team. I think we shouldn't call it fun if it's in the situations like those, but some apps needs that kind of fun, where like on the diet, when they first show you that body you dream of that you'll never have. But I mean, summer came, if you look at us, summer didn't happen. So yeah, I mean, I would call it the best user experience, not fun.
Thank you very much. It was great to hear from you. Actually, Sharon, you talked about things like saving, and it feels like an achievement. Do you guys already know that the BK app already has that? Because there's a scheme for setting a target, right? Right? I'm not marketing,
I can help you. It's okay. Yeah. So so basically, what he's trying to say is there is a feature for saving target. Basically, what it does is you set a target of what you're trying. If you want to buy that car, or if you want to pay these expensive tickets to go see, the video, you just go and name it and say, ticket for the video, and then you put the amount you want. So every time you put money on your account, you know that every time there is money that will be coming out of that, the whatever you put on your account, and then goes in that saving target. So basically, what we're trying to do is also the fact that every time you save, there is is it 6.4% interest annually?
It depends on the period, yeah?
Yeah, annually. So it's like you're earning from saving, but then you can also set your savings targets. And also there is no limit to how many savings accounts you can create. You can create like 10, 11, and then you give them different names. I want a car. I want to take my babes to Dubai. I want to do, Yeah, so that's basically what it does. And maybe one other thing I would say is it's gamifying or putting loyalty aspect into such things like you win points for savings, and the points can be translated into something. So that's already encouraging you to basically save. So these are things that we see in other apps, and we also want to, someone is looking at me, I'm spilling all the beans, but hey, sharing is caring, so yeah. So that's basically what we want to do. We don't want to make banking so complicated. I know I didn't know anything about banking until I joined BK. I'm not gonna lie. So, but then I realized it's really not a big deal. Like the same way you use Momo is the same way you can actually use a bank account. And now it's even easier. So now it's basically saying you're keeping your money, but then you're also earning from keeping your money in the bank, which is the best part. Yeah.
And
so
guys,
basically, I'm a big baller.
That's not a marketing lie, guys.
Because of BK.
It's not a marketing lie. Has any other bank told you, congratulations, you achieved your target? Let's stop there. BK will tell you that. You have a question? Yeah. You have a question?
I just want to, we're all here to learn, right? So in case you find yourself in this situation, you will know that you're not the only one. You see this that they're talking about now for you to get the fight that you were looking for.
Was I looking for a fight?
You were. So these are the situations that become hard for people in my role to explain to the developers. Because they're like, people just want to put money in their bank account. And now you want us to give them the opportunity to create 10 different slots. I'm just imagining high level, 10 different sub-accounts for fun, for encouraging the savings. But, you know, we're always trying to think about the most straightforward way to get to it. And when we now picture this, you start thinking about database space, the development, the maintenance of all those different account IDs. What happens if they close it? What are we going to do with that space? All that comes into play, which is where my role becomes to now be a politician. You must be able to convey the company benefit in this scenario, because it is purely company benefit. If you wanted to, if the core of the issue is for the users to be able to save money, there can be a very straightforward way to get it done. But now we need to find another way to bring in encouragement for them to do it more often. So the key here is not that they're not doing it, we want them to do it more often. And now you must strike a balance between, it's not even strike it, you must find a way of wording it to communicate that. Otherwise, your engineers are going to look at you and be like, of all things we could do with these resources, you want 10 different saving account schemes. Why? So it's just for you to understand that these debates happen, and it is now in the way you relay that information that you get things to get done. And if they tell me no, I also must find a way to come back to the team and be like, I see what you're trying to do. I hear you. You know, you use the psychological, I hear you. I am supportive of your initiative, unfortunately. And then maybe if they wanted to give like an unlimited amount of saving initiatives, we could maybe say we can only limit them to go up to 5. But it's now in trading both sides that you get that to happen. So yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, yes. Ronald,
Okay.
please be the judge here. So if possible, you can sit
No,
in the middle so
I
they don't fight.
definitely see where she's coming from, and it's a thing that actually happens everywhere in all companies. Maybe one thing I would say for the big developers, I guess kudos to you guys, because apparently you're very understanding, but it's just to say that you want someone to build their credit score for you to give them a loan. So basically it means you look at their savings, how many times they transact, but then you limit them on how to do that. So in our thinking, it's more to say we have UX designers who are in charge of user experience, and they mainly look at the user experience for the customer. So they say, okay, this is what we want. We want someone to be able to easily get a loan without necessarily putting it in their face. You have to transact so many times, you have to do this. How do you then give them that freedom to not go in Excel and write wedding, harimo, amafranga, sare, harimo, you know, but rather you give them that opportunity to do it, ahanwa become amafranga in the mobile app. They create that target for themselves, and then it's MVP, it's progressive. Once now that problem comes and says, guys, DB, there's a lot of accounts, that's when you start looking for a solution, but then without making it so obvious to the customer that, hey, there is actually this problem and now we're limiting you. Second, once that saving target is done and you have your target, I'm afraid I'm going to deny away, so you're going to use it either way. Or once you have that account, it's easy to close it if you don't even have, if it's zero, it's okay to close it. So what we're trying to look at is for the user, how do we tap into your everyday needs, everyday life, everyday behaviors, you know, and then we put it in the bank. Yeah, so that is really it.
Thank you very much. I want to open the floor to the audience if any of you has a question. But before that, from the things you talked about, Sharon and Sylvie. Sharon, do you think, okay, I'm also on the side of product because I'm a developer, from the developer perspective. Do you think product is better at developing products or better at finding reasons why products will not be created? Okay,
I mean, I know I had your question, but please just repeat to buy me time.
Let me see if the door is open, so if I need to run away, I can run. Sharon, do you think product and the development team, let's consider them as one team, do you think they are good, or maybe let me say, do you think they are better at developing a product, or do you think they are better at finding reasons why things cannot work?
Okay, before I get attacked, you need to give me a reason to explain, right? So the answer is both.
Ah, you're playing it safe.
No, I'm not playing it safe. Basically, they give... So they're the same people who give a reason as to why something should not go on the market, because they are the ones who basically develop and then also oversee the entire process. But then there are also the people who, they give reasons not to and also reasons to, right? In a sense, everything revolves around the product readiness, right? And also the set roadmap. So where the problem comes in, if let's say a PM comes and then says, you know what, the developers are basically taking their time really, right? And then we need to launch this ASAP. She's not gonna come to me and then say market, because there is nothing to market. So she's gonna give me reasons as to why this is not there yet, and I'm not also going to push it out there because there is nothing to market, you see. But then if the product is ready and I'm not, right? She's going to give me reasons as to why I should not even sleep, right? I should make sure we meet that deadline, because at the end of the day, we were together during the planning sessions and everything. So there should not be a reason as to why I should not be ready. So that's why I said both. Listen, I work in a bank, I have to be political. I like my life, yeah. But that's the truth.
Well,
But the reasons not to are so many sometimes, eh?
yes, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So we tend to be towards the no side more than the yes. I'll agree. And the reason is, dear audience and members of the parliament, user behavior is the most unpredictable thing ever. Humans are a moving target. And we live in this state of asking ourselves often, am I really solving the right problem? And the biggest enemy to that is anything that is rushed. So we are always trying to ask ourselves, have we drilled it down to the actual problem? And most of the time, whoever asks us a question to get anything out there, while we are still in that phase, we'll get a no. But the moment the light bulb comes on, we're ready to go. Which is where now, if we're ready and something gets blocked in between, we're like, what? Because again, it's a moving target. We're like, oh, why hasn't it been spoken about yet? What if we miss the window? So I agree. It happens that most of the time we're saying no, because we are trying not to go out there with without having the right solutions. But I will warn us against analysis paralysis sometimes. You must put your foot out there at some point. And I believe that with experience in this space, you begin to know when it's safe to, you know, experiment and do all of those things. So, yeah.
Let there be peace.
I have something to add on that one. I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but sometimes I feel like when a project manager is having a discussion with a developer, and they meet a developer who is basically, it's like, okay, I need to take my time. They're gonna make a small feature that can be delivered in a day, be delivered in a week. So do we think that maybe a PM should, do we think a PM should also have that knowledge on, okay, not necessarily, you don't need to write code, but at least be educated on that? Or like a designer tells you, for me to design this landing page, it's going to take 3 days, yet it can actually take a day, right? So I feel like sometimes the readiness of the product has a lot of pieces, and when someone like me who is marketing, someone outside looking in, I'm like, this thing should have been ready like ages ago, but, well, you know? And then I also maybe think the reason to that is because I'm also a little bit, you know, biased in a sense that I've done the product design, I've done, you know, software development and all of that. So there is some knowledge, even though it's not a lot, that I do have, and such conversations come up so many times. Is that something that you guys experience, and is it like an actual fact, or it's basically saying marketing, we don't like peace? Like, what do you think?
Should I answer that?
I mean,
You want to?
I want to let it come from here and then to you so that you answer on behalf of the developers. So it's something that I'm actually coming across now. A product manager who has engineering background or a technical background has a great package. It's amazing because you get to know when to squeeze the time and when the timelines are being given are correct. I've not yet figured out how to do that yet. But I hear there are books, so I'm going to read about them and learn how it's done. But now the question to the developers is, should I, anytime you tell me 3 days, tell you, no, I want it in a day and a half, to sort of make sure that at least I've pushed you. If you resist that too much, maybe I'll know that it's correct. Or how do we do that?
Maybe I might think of something. Have you ever taken maybe your car to the garage, and then the mechanic tells you, this can be completed in 2 days. And you say, no, I want to go to Ruavu tomorrow. I want to go with my car. They usually say, okay, yes, give it. It will be done by today. And the reality, they know. They just want you to feel good, right? Because you don't know what's involved in everything. And then they'll keep their 2 days. Sometimes they lie. Sometimes they're telling the truth. As a developer, let me say, if you do have product managers that have knowledge in development, it's pure bliss. It's pure bliss. It's a blessing, because they do understand when you explain something. And one other thing, it gives no room to developers lying, right? But most of the times, let me tell you, developing something takes even more time than we anticipate, we as developers. Sometimes you think something will take 5 hours, and it takes 5 days. Sometimes it happens. Just like anything, you can just say, I'm going to come maybe from town to here in 20 minutes, and Google Maps will tell you that. You can reach here in 20 minutes, but the reality, you'll find traffic lights. You find everything that can just hinder the trajectory, right? The estimated time. So that happens. Most of the times, maybe if I talk about myself as a developer, sometimes it happens to me. I never intend to lie about a timeline, but sometimes it happens. but with the people that we've worked together, I tend to deliver on the time. You can testify, right? I tend to deliver in the times that I have agreed upon. Sometimes it happens that when pressure comes, I find myself accepting everything that will be done in a week, and that week becomes like a prophetic week. Just like we say, one day is equal to 1,000 days to God. Maybe one day for God equals to 1,000 days for man. Sometimes a week for me becomes a prophetic week, but I never intend to do that. Right.
My last question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I feel like, it's not easy for you, but then with AI, do you still have the same problems, or, because now we have AI, everything is AI, right? So,
it's even more difficult nowadays. Let me tell you, it's easy to get something that you know well how you want it, to get it done. It's very easy. But, we're still smarter than AI. If something doesn't make sense or it's not very clear, you give it to AI, it gives you rubbish. Even writing email, sometimes you give content to AI that you want in your email and it writes something.
Only if you use the free version.
More time. Yeah?
Only if you use the free version. The premium is spot on.
So you're rich. Now you get, premium users. Tell me I'm poor without telling me. Yeah. I think we've taken too much time, you guys listening to us. And I know I've seen your hands, you have questions, right? In the audience. We want to hear from you. A question?
Yes, thank you. Maybe it's a comment and then also a question. Yes, there's a point that Sharon mentioned about saving targets. I want to support it a bit and then add in now a question on another part. So I want to give you like an example. You are trying to do many things at the same time, but you are not able to achieve it because you are having, I would say, like a lot of responsibilities that you want to cater for. So now, if you know prepaid cards, the way they work, I can issue 5,000 prepaid cards, but I only have one account pertaining to it. So meaning I can create one basket, and then this basket has different rooms. So now this is the same thing also with saving targets. Ideally, on your application, you can be seeing that maybe I'm having a target to go to Nairobi. I'm having a target maybe to pay school fees for the kids. I'm having a target to do this and this and that. And then with that gamified approach that has been mentioned, or that creative approach that has been given, then at the back, I'm having one account in the core banking or in any system. But with the application, it's able to like break it down. So by breaking it down, for you who's using it, you don't really care too much about knowing what's happening in behind. But for you, are able to see your payments or your dues being broken down. So I see it as a way that makes these products appealing for the customers, and also appealing for the kind of target market you're looking for. If you're talking about like maybe an age gap of 18 years to 30 years, they want things that are dynamic, things that are appropriate. And then it's a bit different with older generations, whereby they're like, I put my money here, and then I know that on top of my head, I know that what I'll be doing with it. But for the Gen Z, if I may call so, they need to be reminded, your basket of maybe water is almost finished. Can you refill it? Then it brings a bit of gamification. that's the comment that I wanted to make, that really it can be something that can change the market, and the savings are perceived by the young kids as a good tool to use. So my question is, for all of you, when you make a product, or when you launch a product and becomes a success, what does it entail you, and how do you feel at the back of it as you're working on another pipeline of other projects? Do you feel the fear of launching again? Do you feel like maybe this is a stepping stone, or this is like a one-song wonder? Like, what type of challenge does it bring you? Thank you.
I think maybe I can go first on that one. But before I answer your question, you talked about the prepaid cards. So this is me selling. I think it's for the ladies in the room, or even the guys, because the economy nowadays, you never know. So prepaid cards, basically, you can have so many, but they are basically gift cards. So nowadays, if you want to gift someone, just give them a prepaid card that has money on it. So that's a really good gift, yeah? Yeah, and it's very easy to top up. So just to answer your question, so I think for someone who is in marketing, the first success is a successful launch. That is the first win. And you celebrate after you successfully launch something without having, it could be like a physical launch, like an event, or like you've just put it out there and you're getting really positive feedback from clients. So that is number one. Second, when you launch something, I know everyone on this panel understand this. So there is MVP. You already have so many things you have to deliver on this project, but then you know this is the minimum we need to put on the market. So once it's on the market, you're not gonna go there and sleep, because then you already have something that still has to come as an upgrade to basically the product you've launched. So once that is also launched, plus also the experience or the feedback you're getting from clients, because that feedback as well, if it's a bug or like someone doesn't understand something, the user experience, that's when now you come and say, as much as we have the post MVP, but then we also have to improve on this user experience. Now, for me, in marketing, I market experience, right? Because that's what someone needs to know. And then I also market a solution based on the problems or the needs on the market. So for me, success comes in small bits. Launch, experience, feedback, how have we basically, if it's a bug, has it been, but you don't go out there and say, listen, yesterday you had this bug, now it's fixed. No. All you come, you just basically give like a tutorial showing someone using that feature and that bug is not there. Or like frequently asked questions. There's so many ways to do that. So for me, there is no big success to say, this is successful. The success comes in the business where you've set targets on that product, and at the end of the year, you've hit your target. That's where now you know the bonus is coming. That's where now you celebrate, but it's personal. But for the customer out there, you always have to keep going, because there's a lot of things in the pipeline on that same product that you've launched. Yeah.
Technically, let me talk on behalf of like Irembo. Because on the pace we're moving on, it's technically hard to relax and be like, oh yes, we launch and we have time to celebrate. Because the moment it's on the launch phase, you already on the next project, right? As she just said. So maybe you can enjoy it while watching the video on YouTube when they launched, or while you pass on billboards or see the TV ad, but most of the time, depending on how fast things are moving, because the backlog is really, really huge and the pipeline is really huge, you find that you don't have that much time to see it and celebrate and then be like, okay, next month we're starting something new. Unfortunately, when something fails, that's now when you have time to go through it and everything. But the celebration, you say yeah while moving. So yeah, that's what I would say.
One last thing, something I can now mention on that is that I feel like for us, launch is actually a tension time. We are tensed because things that are working on the testing environment and the way they can behave on the production, you will see interesting times. So when, like they say, you click the button, either what you're putting out might not work as expected, or worst case scenarios, not only does it not work as expected, but it has now come to mess up with what was already there. So during the launching period and the first couple of weeks of usage, ideally a product team should have set some metrics to measure during that time, to be able to confidently say we can now move past this version of the feature if we are intending to develop more, and leave it and just be fixing some bugs or something like that. Let's say if okay, just for the backstory, the reason I'm still using Irembo a lot is because I'm still new at RSSB. So let's say for the Irembo app, we set a target that the processing time for a fine payment must be under 15 seconds, and you see that it's lagging for 30 seconds, we cannot move past this feature without solving that. So those metrics are now the things that we must measure against, and if they are passed at the level that we had set, then you as a product manager, that's when you can tell yourself we can move on. But if you don't have success metrics, you will go in the joy of the things being put out there without looking back to see if what you were intending to solve has been solved. And your metrics should be the ones that tell you how happy you should get or if you still have problems to go.
The question? Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So on the hype thing, on the hyping, right? Let's say before developing a product, it's usually good to develop a prototype video that shows everything so that you can use it in pitching, right? So you said we shouldn't overhype so that we shouldn't, under-deliver on what's needed, right? So if hyping, it's crucial on getting investors interested, should you cross that line and overhype, or should you just maintain the line?
Okay, I'll take that. So it's different. There is investors, and there's also actual customers, right? So that is in the initial period where you want funds to be put into your product, right? And you have already a prototype. You can hype because you want their money, and you're selling them a dream, a vision that you're trying to work towards. So it's different from an actual user who needs to use your product to basically solve a problem they have. Those are two different things. But even with a customer, it's okay to overhype something that you know for a fact checks all the boxes you have, in a sense that the problem that you're trying to solve, it's being solved, and the customer basically can experience without any problems. Then there's so many things we do in the background, usability testing with actual customers, also internally before you put it on the market. So you already know you had some feedback from customers, and then you're basically now putting it for the mass to now use. The only way for people to use or know about your product is if you really hype it. Abanyarwanda turaharara. So our market is a bit different. You gotta go all in or you go home, right? But you need to make sure you have something. Yeah. But for the investors, yeah. Hype, AI. Yeah.
If I can add something to what she said is, hype shouldn't be about overselling. The hype can be about the actual thing, right? So let's say it's one feature on any particular app. Instead of saying it does double of what it does, just hype what it does, right? Even be it to the investor, be it to the client, because if you look at Apple events, they overhype things that are already there. the cameras that they sell, they are not the best, right? For if we go into Samsung and Apple battle, if you look at, but sometimes they make mistakes too, because they overhyped Apple Intelligence sometimes back, and so hype should be exactly, because you can hype something that is actually working, not add extra more for it to be sold or anything. Just hype what you have, because technically you have it. You can even prove it to the investors, because if you take that demo and now a few months in they say, okay, what you showed that is not there, then technically they can even retrieve their money. So I would say, why don't you hype what you have, because it's hypeable. So technically, yeah, that's my point.
Okay, thank you so much. For me, I have a case study that I just want to bring in, and it is so much more into engineering stuff, but I'm not aware of it, but I do analyze some of the branding just beyond the design and everything's related to branding in general. So these days, Spiro, those ones who take the motorbike, is now falling down. And whenever that you're talking to women, whenever you came out from a home, everyone who's going to approach you, whenever they come as a Spiro motorbike rider, you say, no, I'm not going to go with you. And for the brand, I'm asking for all of you, just give us the insight. And because it's affecting all the community, and it's now much more of playing a big role when it comes to climate stuff. What is the strategy that you think, as in a marketing? Remember that we do have these people who are not uneducated. They're the ones who are their clients. And even yesterday, I saw they have a press conference. But what is the strategy that you think to restore the brand? When it comes to the brand design, so do they need to also to bring other logos on the websites? So for the product manager, what do you accuse the team? So I'm now just going to go into details. This is in the community stuff. If we have someone from a Spiro, so we're not accusing you anything. We're just trying to give ideas and insights. So what do you accuse, and what if that you've been given this opportunity to consult Spiro as a team? What do you think the best way to restore their brands, and so that they can position themselves in the context of people going to trust them again? Because I believe that the brand is the reputation they have built within the clients, but these days it's not going to fall. And you work as a team, and how would you handle such situations? Thank you.
One, I think they're doing a good job to restore the brand image, because one, it's the word of mouth that got them into the trouble, right? There are some lies. For example, if you look at it, there are some abamotari from batwara ziriya za essence that are pulling the lie, saying that if you use Spiro, then you're going to fall and everything. So for them, they are marketing their bikes because now it's more expensive to get the insurance for it, because they're trying to increase the money and everything. So they are doing for them a good, like giving them grace and pushing away the Spiro bikes, right? So I think what Spiro is doing right now, if you look at it, they're not trying to put out billboards saying our bikes are the most powerful and everything. They are using testimonials. They are using word of mouth again. Where now, if you look at it on Twitter and everywhere, it was really, really busting. But right now, nowhere to be found. Few here and there, because the messaging turns to now, the issue is not with the bike. Now you're clearing the image. The issue is with the driver. Because technically, if you come from an auto call and then you jump to the Wijiraga kuri Yamaha, Ages, and now you're going to an electric bike, it's two different things. So the messaging, if you look at it right now, it's more of the issue is with the biker. The issue is not with the bike itself, right? So what they're doing is, I think it's a really good concept, and that's the best way to go about it. Not trying to show how the bike can take the brakes, because that's where the issue is, and also find a good way, because again, trying to say, to put all the blame to the bikers, saying they unplug some, like there is a small thing they unplug for the motorbike to not consume a lot of electricity. So not putting all the blame on them, because now they will go against you. So how can you put the message out showing that the issue is not with the bike, but also not putting the motorbike, like the uitkwara, on the bad side, because at the end of the day, they are your clients, right? So I think what they're doing is good, and maybe they should improve on the messaging a bit, but the route they are on is the correct one.
Maybe what I can add is, I think all feedback is good feedback, especially when it comes from a client. So their clients is basically us who go on the bikes, and also the moto cyclists, our motor. Yeah. So I think one, like he said, using the actual people who use these bikes to give their testimonials, because Nubundi, they're the ones who are giving the testimonials to say these things don't work. But then also second, I would first try to see what are some of the feedback we've gotten from our motari and also the clients, and then how do we then try to fix that instead of trying to change the narrative, if really the problem is there. In a sense that, is there a way to not do it or protect it, or, like we try to look for solutions. And then it's okay to give that promise to say, this is what we have now. We are working towards this, but in the meantime, this is what you should do. And then you're pinpointing on that problem, frequently asked, or the problem a lot of people have. So you tap into that. And then you get someone who basically applies that feedback to say, listen, guys, I used to have this problem, but ever since I started doing it the right way, it works for me. So you just use those people to give that feedback. I'm telling you, the complaints are going to reduce. So you just make sure that you listen and just don't be defensive. You just find a way to respond and help those clients of yours to basically use your products, because perception is everything. Brand is everything. If your brand is, if you have negative feedback, people don't want to use your products, even though it works, just because they don't know how to use it, your business model is just going to fail, really. Yeah. So I think whatever they do, that's if they're doing the, also influencers. Get an influencer, put them on a bike. That's if they know how to use it. And then they just give a tutorial, say, listen, and then they just change that narrative, that perception. That's very powerful as well.
Actually, they used an influencer moto guy. There's this one on Twitter. Yeah, I think it's Motad. Yeah, so they already tapped into that.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say something on that, but let me add something. I know a story. I believe you all know about the site fast.com, right? You know about that. Fast.com tells you the speed of the internet you have, right? Do you know it was developed by Netflix? It's written there, powered by Netflix. Do you know why they developed that? There is this thing that telcos were doing. They were throttling or like hindering the connection to Netflix site. So when you're watching movies on Netflix, you feel like it is slow, right? So they can say Netflix isn't going anywhere because it's slow. No one should use Netflix because it's clear that it's slow. So Netflix found that the people are tarnishing their image. And most specifically, telecom companies were trying to tarnish their image. It's a true story. And now they created a site to connect to their servers and tell you the speed that you have. So when you see the speed is small or is little, you know your telco is providing you poor internet. Yet what they're trying to do is they're trying to connect to Netflix servers, and then they try to find a way without creating chaos, like in words. They created this they used the clever way to show who's the real problem. And sometimes with Spiro, guys, sometimes you can see it's the riders, not actually the bikes, because you see some bikes, they're going and they're fine, and some people also have good testimonies about them. But some riders, maybe because of the agenda they have, they try to tarnish the image. And I'm very sure that you can even have Yamaha bikes that crash because of not brakes. But because it's Spiro, people are trying to tarnish the image, it goes like that. So I just wanted to add that. Yes, you have a follow-up question?
A lot of them, they don't even take the bikes. And the question I do really want you to touch on is, let's suppose that you've already give this consultation for as an team, and I know this requires a lot of more research and going through, and I also want to the product manager also to tackle that. So what would you accuse maybe the team that developed? I know that the motorbike has no any big issues, the same as like other bikes, but there's a technical issues, because I went through it and I had the conversation, I collected all the data from different people. And the issue is the people that are using it, they're the one who are giving the testimonials, the one who are doing it as a business, and they're the one who are saying, you know, this, we were supposed to be like giving the 5K for their owners whom we are renting during the nights. And even the sales has become somehow less. The rate has become now down compared to hourly before. So let's suppose that you or the team, and the marketing has mentioned something very good, that we need also to have the stories from these people, same again. And they're the people, and remember these people, a lot of them, they didn't go to school. This is the way for them to survive. And do you think there's other strategies for these people who didn't go to school, whom take long for them to convince them again to use these products from a Spiro? So what do you?
So from a product perspective, like when you asked the question, I said, provided that we know that on the product side, we've done what we need to do, then that problem should be solved from the perspective of brand and marketing. However, the example you just gave showed that there is something else that could be done technically, right? So I was just trying to brainstorm what could be done. And thinking about it like from the concept that this is a hardware product, so to speak, there is a way that you can also show that from the technical perspective, you're caring about this problem. I've just thought about just a few ideas randomly. One, Spiro could say that they are, again, I'm just brainstorming random stuff. They are offering for the first 3 months or for every 3 months or every 2 months, a free check of your bike, right? You come in, we check everything that is going wrong, and we make sure that we service your bike. And then that can now go ahead and give a certain assurance to the clients that these bikes, every 3 months, they come back to the factory to service them. There is that. And then, once they are serviced, we put a badge on the bike, so that now the clients can recognize that if this bike has a badge, we have personally looked at everything that is going on with it, and the fact that it has the badge means everything checks. That's just one random idea that we can do, because now I've gotten all of this from the Netflix scenario. That's what they did, to give you an assurance that on our side, things are working as expected. So technically, if we know that what we've developed, the concept that we have of the bike is working as expected, and somewhere between the bike getting out of the factory and then beginning to use it, something goes wrong, how can we put a middle man somewhere in between to say we still care about these bikes even after they've gone out? Even in collaboration with certain authorities, we say, when they get their control technique, since it's a mandatory thing, we also participate in the checking. And then we give them an assurance that this bike has been checked. So that in the road, when they are checking, or when I'm going to pick a bike, I'll pick the one that has the badge. And then we'll know that at least on the side of Spiro, they've done their job. So just a random idea.
So,
take me to their team. I can consult.
yes. So I just, I have the mic. So I just want to add to what you talked about as a comment. I think this is more of a high-touch solution. It's very easy to forget that on both sides of the equation are incentives. So you have the rider who owns a Spiro bike. He has an incentive for people to be his clients. On the side of the guys who use the other bikes, there's an incentive to have people not use Spiro bikes. And obviously for a company, you want people to use, and then the other competitors. And I think the solution, from what I see, is how do you, in some way, figure out a way to align incentives? One example. Right now, the cost of that lost revenue could be flipped in the sense that they say, we're going to give away some bikes to the noisiest opponents to our product, and actually say, look, you're probably paying a loan for this bike or paying the owner for this bike. Come to Spiro. 5 guys, 10, whatever number that is. I think once you do that, you rob the negators or the naysayers of that product a narrative, because you're saying you don't trust the product, here's the product. And so they end up becoming your ambassadors. You turn a negative narrative into a positive one. And what is the cost of 100 bikes or 50 bikes? When you look at now the lost revenue, when you look at the cost to, again, go to do press releases and try to change that narrative, simply just give the product to people who are saying that it doesn't work and flip that. So that's one example. So I had a question, and I think the question was around what you talked about MVPs. And I know your organizations are a bit different in the sense that you have consumer-facing products, but you wouldn't call them consumer products in that truest form. But I wanted to understand your perspective on this. Globally, or even just generally in tech, and actually it's the advantage of tech, you build with the user, in the sense that you put out a product and you use the user feedback loop as a reinforcing loop to keep improving from version 1 to version 1.1 to version 1.2 and so on and so forth until you never stop in its truest sense. Knowing how the random market works from your own experience, you talked about hype and having to come out there, but what's the true cost of, again, getting it wrong with an MVP? How do you also consider an MVP an MVP? Where you call it product ready, the tech works, but when you're looking for product market fit, what's risky in the sense that you put the product out there and it doesn't work? Do you go back and try to relaunch? Do you have that luxury? And so I just want to get your perspectives on that.
So it's a bit tricky, because then why would you launch something that doesn't work? We have processes internally that help us not ever be in such a situation, in a sense that you've tested this product so many times, actually with actual customers, which is the usability testing I was talking about, from the beginning. So there is usability testing that designers do, where whatever they designed whatever solution they're bringing, is there a need for it, and how are customers basically using it? And then there is also another usability testing that comes when now it has been developed, and we're trying to see, as much as it's still on development or it's on prod, but we've not marketed it, it's not really there. So we're trying to see how does it work, and do we have enough time to implement some of the feedback that is coming from clients? So in the planning or the roadmap you've already put that time to test out this product thoroughly before you put it on the market. Now, once it's on the market, internal server errors come from now and there, right? And you already have a team that works 24/7 to make sure that whatever error is there, it doesn't last for, say, like 20 minutes, right? Because we have SLAs or TATs, right? We have to follow. So ideally for a company as big as RSSB, BK, that situation, there are so many processes or things we do internally to make sure that does not happen. Now, an example. So for example, like for the BK app, we do have some systems we integrated in there to track how a user uses for example, like Google Analytics, right? So if I log in and I'm unable to click anywhere, already it's gonna flag that this person did not do anything. Or like it shows the most used pages or buttons or, So what that tells the digital marketing team is, these are the most clicks we have on this feature, or we don't have any clicks here. As much as we're selling, we have these in-app notifications, ad widgets, but people don't click on this thing, so it doesn't work. Or it does work, but people don't see it. So what then we do, we go to the designers, the user experience designers, and we say, what can we do? Because we need people to use this because there is a need there, but maybe they can't see it, right? So we've had a lot of versions with the mobile app where we had to even change the entire homepage to give something that is more familiar to people. Because at the end of the day, you don't want something new that someone is not gonna be able to use, right? You want something very familiar. So what happens is we always go for that user feedback. Because before you put something there, you do A/B testing, right? I remember there's a time we designed 2-3 home pages, different designs, and then we said ABC, we put it on social media. Which one is more appealing to you? And the one that the clients voted the most is what was implemented. And it has been tested out. So I think it's something that is very progressive, and for us, the product is already there, but it's just an improvement to make sure that it fits what clients expect. So yeah, so like Google Analytics, the clicks, drop-offs, where the page is lagging, we know, okay, guys, what is wrong with why is this lagging? Why is this loading time taking too long? Because now people are dropping off. Or the self onboarding, like you want to open an account with the bank, and you've reached on maybe that page to put on your location, and then someone just drops off. What does that tell you? Maybe the process is just too long. We're asking so many questions. So we come internally and then say, how do we make sure that we're still getting this KYC, the information we need from clients? How do we maybe pull them from NIDA without necessarily asking a lot of things from clients? Maybe just put an ID, and then everything else is generated rather than them putting in there. And then does that improve, or does that help us to make sure that someone opens an account successfully? So we already have information of these people, right? So there are times we even reach out or make sure that even the platform itself prompts you or reminds you you are stuck here. So there's so many things that you can actually do to improve your product. And testing is a must, and there is no limit to testing and getting that feedback or getting it right. So yeah, I think for us as a bank, that's where we stand.
The point of view I can add on that, which is, this is great. Doing it this way is fantastic. And the thing that, it's a question I've been asking myself as a product manager, is our understanding of MVP. We have a very unrealistic understanding of MVP. People think MVP means the whole product, or at least a third of it. But on the true essence of MVP is actually putting things out there something, it's like a hook out there to see if you're on the right track to solving the problem, right? But either depending on how we communicate what's going to be put out there, or the problem starts internally. The expectation of what this thing is going to do when it gets out there is not an MVP expectation, and that's an issue. And the other problem associated to that is, I've been asking myself if it is an African problem, because maybe we are, no, I'm going, so not even to trash Africa, but because we are in an era where technology advancement is coming and we really want to get it done. We feel like we've been so behind. The Western world has all these things, and now, for the first time ever, if I may say, we have a group of brilliant people who now have access to all this knowledge, and they want to catch up. And we are losing the essence of discovery. We want to get things out there to catch up as fast as we can. We want to launch the next PayPal that is powered by Africans for Africans. But you've not learned how the African people deal with money. You've not learned that this grandma will not get the money from underneath her bed mattress. So we rush discovery, and MVP is part of discovery. So my question, I don't have an answer for you yet, but I would say that we need to fix the expectation on MVP so that when we receive feedback, we are not shaken. That's exactly what we want to achieve with the MVP, is to put something out there to tell us what we're supposed to be building, either to tell us to go back or to keep moving there. And there's something that people do, coming soon. Coming soon is beautiful. Because if, despite the coming soon, they keep trying to see if it has come, you know that you're setting the right expectation. So clarifying what MVP is, specifically internally, and once it's clarified, it also helps us know how to communicate it. And understanding now, come to church. And it now also tells us now how to keep discovering. And let me say that it's pain for my heart, right? All of us here, the reason why we're here is because we have either a hunger for tech, a hunger for knowledge, or we are in spaces where we're getting things done, right? And the African continent is it's a booming place. But let's not rush to build the next HubSpot and whatever, and we forget to build it for the African market. Because if you build it for the African market, that's where now you will truly make the difference. And when the investors are coming in to try and tell you how it's been done, may they find you with such knowledge for your market that they sit and learn instead of them coming to teach you. Because no one will understand how the African people operate more than the Africans themselves. And we are still finding ourselves in a position where we are implementing the things that they've implemented, yet we're saying we want to create African tech. So if you're going to create African tech, truly, I've read this, I'm trying to read these product management books. They're cute. But trust me, when they're saying, oh, if you're trying to do discovery, put people in a room, put laptop in front of them, and then tell them to give you feedback. Why? But there is an African way for everything that we're doing. So let's find a way to do it the African way now. When we're going in those rooms out there and they're telling us to tell us what we've done for the African market, we have a great story to tell. That is not a repetition of what's been done already.
How many questions do we have? Let's see if you have time for that. Huh? How many, Chief?
Yeah, you had a question. Yeah, I had a question.
T'avais une question? Let's go first with the Ines and then the Chief. And then I believe Parado also had a question. No? All right, so we'll take the two.
Yeah, so thanks. I think it's very, very similar to what he asked, but there's something specific I wanted to hear from you as a product manager. And I think that's something that we have observed especially in the Rwandan tech space. We have spent a lot of time digitizing .gov, BK, RSSB. We have really digitized, but I feel like we're at a space where we are like stagnating. We're all shaking. We're like, what are we gonna do next? Like we don't know what to do next, to be honest. And I think somehow, like it's within the responsibility of a product manager to figure out the next product roadmap after what? After launch. Because we have digitized all the services, payment is digitized, everything is digitized. So what are we doing next? And how are the product people influencing the business? Or how are we finding the right balance between telling the business, like, this is what we need to invest in. This is, like, we need to lean. If it's about payment, we need to lean. If it's about maybe, I don't know, something, we really need to lean. How do product managers influence this roadmap rather than just business saying, let's integrate with OpenAI, LLM, I don't know, Nano Banana. How do you bring this together and just create that? So that's the first question for the product manager. The second is for the brand designer. So I was wondering, I think you talked about brand being the memory, and I want to understand your perspective on how you make sure that soft part of the brand is also interpreted in the experience, in the user experience. So I believe as a brand designer, you work with user experience designers, but how do you make sure that the experience that they're designing is reflecting that brand memory that you want to bring? Is it you who evaluates if the experience is meeting the brand? Is it the UX designer who evaluates if the UX is meeting? Like, how do you work together to make sure that the experience is delivering on the brand's promise? Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first. It's a tricky one. It's a successful product manager must be someone who doesn't lose track of why they are in the company. And for you not to lose track of that, you must get out of the office. It's so easy to say, and I have not yet been able to achieve it myself. Because, as well, of the other problem that I mentioned where we just want to deliver, but we don't want to find out what else is happening on this market that I'm in. So you find yourself now being stuck in the room where management and everyone in between is like, everyone has said AI is the thing. How are we incorporating AI in this product of ours? So if you don't take time to detach yourself from the company, you will end up following the trend and then patch things up to sort of keep going. And then all of a sudden you're like, what exactly are we doing? I'll give you an example of something that showed a product, whoever is behind this feature, still cared to go back and remember who they were building for. Did you notice that Google Gmail added a subscriptions section? That was brilliant. That was brilliant. And I bet that's not something that you will think about if you stay stuck in this environment. I don't know how they compartmentalize their product managers and how they deal with the product in general, but I bet they were trying to figure out, okay, how do we incorporate something to help you write your email since we are in the age of AI and all of that, blah, blah, blah. But whoever sat down and remembered, but these guys are still dealing with incoming emails, how can I break them down for them? That is someone who's really, really thinking about their user. So our challenge right now is that, because you mentioned it, and you know what, you're making me feel good because I thought it was only us, but it's good to know that we are all feeling that thing of a sort of stagnation. I can suspect that it might come from the issue that I mentioned where we all started off trying to catch up. We've caught up, so to speak. But now, I can assure you our market is, the economy is doing wonderfully in terms of the needs. The technical literacy of the African market, of the Rwandan market, is not yet that far up. Problems to solve are there. But now finding them out is what we're not doing correctly. And we will not find them out in the office, for sure. So continuing to go back to the people you're building for is what keeps you level-headed. It's what reminds you that you're not doing that well, by the way. You're not. So go back to the people you're building for and remain with that spirit of empathy. Yeah.
So for the question you asked, I will keep saying it. I mean, even if you look at it right now, I mean, before as we were debating, there is still that gap where now marketing is asking development team, why this, and then the product team is asking again, why this and why this. The reason why is because most of our teams are, by scattered I mean either every team is working in silos, and we tend to come in either some teams come in late, others don't care about what others are doing. They are sitting and waiting for, okay, me, I'm coming on to, the go-to-market is there, I'm on the 5th place. I don't care about what's happening next. So that's where the disconnect comes from. Again, most of the teams, marketing and the product team, don't sit together. They are two different departments. They are so-called in the engineering team, and the marketing team is also there to beautify things and give out messages. They don't work together, and then now the reflection can't be seen in the product, which again, sometimes the guidelines is there, everything is there, but now the UI designer is so like really into the product, and they want to do wonders, and they forget the guidelines. By doing so, you find that it's really totally different from the company goals and everything, and then the backlash starts. And also, another thing is, how do we make sure that what marketing is doing and the brand is doing is, from the product perspective, is reflected? Sometimes we work with agencies, and the agencies, for them, it's another brief. They technically, for them, it's just words, we are launching this and everything, and there is a disconnect. For example, there is this other bank, if it's not big, by the way. If you look at what they promised us on the launch, no, they might hire me. What do you mean? So what the teasers and everything, and then the product that went out, it's totally different. So that shows the disconnect I was talking about. I believe being in one room is the answer. So yeah, technically, just being in one room, because at the end of the day, for the clients, it's one feature, it's one app. Even though for us, we have 5 features we are working on. For the clients, I'm just using BK app. I'm just using Irembo app. They don't care if the feature was done, produced, and whatever. It's just one app. So if we keep working in different teams, when it goes to the user, they are not like Sylvie did this and Ronald did this, so Sylvie did a good job. No, it's just one app. If it is trash, the whole product is trash. So just being one team is the key.
So in a few words, right, just short answers, I'd like to know, in the beginning you guys mentioned that you guys kind of fell upon your calling, your career path, your role. I would like to know, what's your mentality to keep growing in this space? How did you figure out that this was what you wanted to do, if it is what you wanted to do? And I always like, when I go to panel talks like these, of course I'm really interested of knowing your insights on different questions, but I'm really more interested in the person. So how, maybe I can, just so you guys can answer it really shortly, what are the 3 things you really keep practicing every day to become an expert that a bunch of people come to see for a panel talk? Because I guess most of us here want to grow as well. Just few words, Ronald, just.
I mean, English is not my first language, so to use, I need to speak a lot to be able to be understood, right? So I think one is take feedback, because as a designer, it's really hard. Two, to understand that I'm not the end user. And three, to keep trying to be better than I was like last year or 3 months ago.
I wanted to be a musician, but clearly God had other plans for me. So for me, what I do, I really love listening to podcasts. So in a space, right now I'm in digital marketing, or generally in marketing. And you hear about strategies other people implement. And then, like she rightly said, sometimes it feels like we want to catch up. But then it's also okay to know what works for other people, for you to know where to start from, to even think of inventing something else, right? So for me, it's more of making sure that I find a way to educate myself every day. And I find it easier to do that in podcasts. Like I'm always listening to a podcast all the time. Yeah, sometimes it's audiobooks, werewolves and stuff, but most of the times it's literally about marketing, because I found every single problem we have at work, and I search like a keyword on, let's say, Spotify, like I just look for a podcast, there's always an answer there. Like there is always something to try out. So that is one thing that I really, really do. And it has helped me to keep going. And I also like sharing, honestly. So every time I find someone who is into marketing and stuff, or they have like a problem or some ideas they need, I just tell them, listen, this is where I normally get some of my ideas from. And I've tried this, try it. It might not work, but at least see if it works for you. If it doesn't, then we can re-strategize and see what happens. So, yeah.
I'd say on my end, it's staying curious, always. And that shows up in staying curious with the space you're in, so the product world. So I'm trying to learn how to read more books, listen to more stuff. Very important, or else you'll be left behind. Stay curious about your customers. Don't think you've understood them. It's like a relationship. Don't think you've understood them. And then stay curious about the business, because there's always going to be a goal that has been updated. There's going to be a new target. You must stay curious about the space you're in. Second thing is, for my role, you must be level-headed. As soon as you start getting too overwhelmed, too much under pressure, whatever, you don't think correctly. And either you will, because you can imagine you're a centerpiece to a bunch of people who have very different expectations of you that are valid. None of them is actually just they're trying to get their jobs done. So you need to remain grounded, or else you will lose track of things. And then the last one is, it's hard. So you need to have a why. Your why must be the thing that carries you on the days that are not making sense. You must love the thing beyond just what you gain out of it daily, because it's what fuels, hanging around on the hard days. Yeah.
I hope I wasn't expected to answer that too. And I was about to conclude. Hoping I'm not required to answer that. Should I go? But maybe let me talk about something. I have a colleague at work. They once said the best testing environment is production. This is what gets us in trouble. No. It's because there are some things that you meet in production that can never happen while during testing, right? So that's the thing that keeps me going somehow. So if I see something I didn't expect, and then I say, oh, there's something to do. There's something more to look at for. There's something, I need to think more. One other thing, it's it's somehow fun because what I do is basically live in code. I cannot build a house, but I can build something inside a digital device. That's fun. One other thing is, yeah, there's some money. There's some money, but not too much. I'm not rich like Ronald or Sharon, or even Sylvie. But at least I can make a living, right? So ladies and gentlemen, this was a great Tech Talk. Thanks to Ronald. For people who didn't know him, just know that every brand here in Rwanda, that is great. There's his touch. I'm not lying, right? Thank you, Sharon. I bet if you ever work with the BK app, with the BK internet banking, just know, even the website, you'll fall in love with. Again, it's not just the hype. These are the things that are there. There's no room, as she said herself, there's no room for lies, right? Sylvie, I know you've greatly been involved in Irembo Pay, right?
That's my baby, bro.
And I know each and every one of you, in some way, if not yet, will definitely interact with Irembo Pay. Yeah? They do. Just know, Sylvie and the team, they have their touch. All right, I believe by now it's no longer like things we blame, marketing lie, product disappointments, brand identity. There's no difference. Ronald said it. Let's come back to the presentation as we started. There's no such thing. It's not different. We started by saying, usually we think maybe the brand looks like. No, go back to the beginning. Yeah, we think the brand looks like this, and then we expect marketing to market something like this, right? And then the product, no offense. The product looks like this. I don't know if it's for swinging or for killing yourself. I don't know what's that for. But then, by now, we were thinking like product, branding, and marketing. They're like different teams, but by now we know they're one team, right? And it shows because no one has called their lawyer just as they were sitting here. I didn't know they could finish like a session, like a talk without fighting, but thankfully, no one has called their lawyer for justice. They're all a team. Let's see the team. I believe we'll now be looking at product, branding, and marketing as one team because they're achieving the same goal. Yeah, you're doing, yeah. And they've also talked about they're not just creating things just for creating them. They also get to learn what users really need. And it's very important, and I believe from the audience, there's something like an MVP that was talked about, and listening to users' feedback. And they might find out that the customer really needs just a swing, no need of a roller coaster or something. But if they do, they work as a team to bring what the product wants. The customers, I mean.
The wheel was coming.
All right. For the interest of time, I know we could have gone even. Was this an MVP Tech Talk? Yes. There's more coming at Braxo Hub. So we hope to see you again and again and again. Thank you very much for being attentive. And now, let's build. Yeah. Okay, yeah. The team here is going to conclude. Thank you very much for giving us space here at Braxo.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So, please give them a round of applause again. Yeah. So, now this today's topic have raised the bar high. Now they have put us on pressure over our next topic. Yeah, I bet it's going to be a motivation. So thank you everyone for today's attendance. I believe everyone has learned a thing or two about branding and product, and I believe you're going to apply them in your teams and your organizations. So here at Braxo Hub, we really support different people to come work here, connect, and even have such discussions. And it's even seen in such events where we try to boost our community around the critical issues that we do face in our organizations. So. I know it's a bit late, but as you look around, there are some snacks and drinks. Please don't go hungry. Feel free to grab something as we connect. So, and I really thank you for today's participation. I hope to see you in the next topic. I hope everyone is going to show up. So, give yourselves a round of applause and have a great evening. Thank you.